at our next quarterly leader meeting, the first one for 2013. I will wait half a minute for others to join us, but please feel free and feel welcome for our quarterly leader meeting. You have joined the right meeting. Well, it's already 2 minutes past our starting time, so I would like to start now. I would like to welcome you to this quarterly leader meeting, the first one for 2013. First of all, these kind of meetings are always prepared by a team, and this meeting is also prepared by Susan Russell, Stephanie Concoy, Laura Walker, and myself, being responsible for the chapters and special interest groups for worldwide Vivit. Well, what I would like to do in the next 45 minutes, I will try to uncover with you pretty soon. But before we start, I would like to mention some important housekeeping suggestions, which means that this is a live session. It's being recorded. It's always good to know. Perhaps more important also to know is that it's a session which will be available later on a website, as you are used to. And that's not only this session, but also the slide set will be available. Especially might be interesting to download the slide set when we're talking about some interesting hyperlinks which are part of this presentation. Last but not least, I will also like to urge you and to invite you to use the control panel for Q&A during the session. At the end of the session, we would like to open up the mics for some personal Q&A, but during this session, you're more than welcome to just ask us some questions by means of the GoToWebinar control panel, and you see it here. Most of you who are already doing a lot of virtual meetings are pretty comfortable with using it. Just to remind you, use the questionnaire pane and expand it and put in there your question, and myself or one of my colleagues will pick it up and we will try to answer it, or we will just value your very valuable new ID. Well, what I would like to cover today is new stats about Vivit. So where are we? Are we growing or not? How are we doing? Some interesting stats here which I want to share with you, because those stats are actually based on the success of you as a Vivit chapter leader or special interest group leader. The second part is I want to briefly touch on the cooperation and the partnership which we have nowadays with HP on the HP marketing side as well as ExpertOne side. It's very important for you that you know for your chapter and also for your communication what it really means. I will also try to mention some interesting leader training initiatives which we will be launching this year. I will also try to touch with you on some tips and tricks based on the last questionnaires, as well as some of our own experiences or experiences with other leaders. I would also like to update you on some new initiatives within Vivit by means of BrightTalk and the Knock a Little Louder campaign. I would also like to, as the last 2 points, focus your attention to the upcoming award nominations already available and the advanced training sessions which we will be hosting at the HP Discover in Las Vegas. And of course, the last important part is the Q&A. Well, where are we with Vivit? We're growing. Everyone who's a little bit comfortable with the theory of Jeffrey Moore, a marketing guru, um, should actually conclude now that we are in the tornado, trying to bridge the gap between solid stability and going to an enormous growth. That's what we actually are experiencing nowadays, especially in the EMEAs, but also in Asia Pacific. And one of the important parts of that is also our new cooperation with HP, which we will be talking about later during this meeting. But where are we now? We have got more than 14,000 members, and you can see from the charts on the right that it's going pretty fast. We've got more than 73 chapters worldwide, covering more than 22 countries, and we've got nowadays 15 special interest groups, and they are about the HP solutions as well as more high-level discussions for decision makers based on the IT game changers topics. Some other interesting figures I would like to share with you are the separations between job levels. So to conclude from these two graphs, you could say more and more decision makers are part of Vivit and are also active within Vivit. And that's also related to the new special interest group around the IT game changers. And of course, it's also based on, let's say, our early years in which probably those decision makers were just practitioners, as most of us started in the early days, which is quite interesting to, as an interesting conclusion from this graph. Also, what you could see is that 38% are operational end users, and they might grow into decision makers in the future. Who knows? The second one is also interesting, which means it actually values the experiences we have. 60% of our membership have used HP software more than 5 years. So we're not talking about some green newbies, but we're really talking about people who really lived the solution and lived the experience. So it is our obligation, I think, especially also as leaders, to try to find out who those people are in your chapter or special interest group, and trying to figure out if you can include them in your conversation, in your presentations during your virtual as well as local events. As earlier mentioned, which was very important and which is one of our trends nowadays, is that besides more virtual events and more city events, so it's a kind of a globalization trend in which you on one side see more virtual events as well as more city events. The last trend is also a renewed cooperation together with HP, especially with HP and marketing and ExpertOne. And the question I would like to address with you is, HP will be reaching out to you, and are you ready for it? We did a very detailed training session January 25th last week. I would like to urge you also really go to that training session and get the knowledge out there, which is very important for your cooperation with the HP organization. But first of all, why are we so interesting nowadays for HP? It's good for you to know that these are interesting and very good valued USPs about Vivit when you're talking to HP representatives. The first of all, we are still seen as being an unbiased, trusted channel in which there is a lot of room for open communication and a real conversation about knowledge transfer, about knowledge sharing on real-life experiences. So that's a very first important part. So people get most of the time honest and real-life feedback about not only the very good points of a solution or a service, but also topics to watch for or pitfalls around the solution or service. The second one is there's a very easy way to engage with the community. We've got our infrastructure, we've got our terrific staff, and we've got also our website available, which is probably also an awesome tool to start collaborating with the different members, which is also very important for the HP community and HP itself. What it also important is that our leaders and our members, but especially our leaders, really understands what is going on in the chapters and the special interest groups. So we're not only knowing about the discussions, but we're also living the discussions and the conversations. And those real-life experiences are very important also for HP to take home in putting together a roadmap for new solutions and products, for example. That understanding is also related, strongly related to, of course, the valuable feedback on their services and portfolio. It's also about building relationships. Vivit is also a very important channel for HP to build relationship with their customers. Real-life, one-on-one relationships in which you can talk in an open way about what is really going on, what are the real challenges of a user in nowadays life, or what are your challenges compared or in perspective on the IT game changers developments like cloud or security. And last but not least, our channels or special interest group are also very good mediums for software propositions, or let's say propositions about new versions, new solutions, new practices. And again, it's about the real conversation about those new solutions and versions, which is very interesting for HP, and in which they find Vivit as a very interesting party to cooperate with. But what does it actually mean for you? It's also good to think about what it means to you when HP is reaching out to you. The first thing which is important is be available and visible as a leader. It's not only important for your members, but also for HP representatives who would like to try to reach out to you. So is your data correct on our website? Your phone number, your email, is your event information available? That's quite interesting for cooperating with HP. So make sure that your information is okay and really accurate, available on your part of the global Vivit website. The second one is be ready to work on a relationship with HP. A lot of local HP folks will probably be reaching out to you and they would like to engage with you on, for example, interesting brainstorming sessions about topics for your events, perhaps speakers. They even might considering sponsoring your location or just the catering of your event. We've got already had a lot of events in which we did do this very successfully in putting together different tracks or putting together different kind of sponsorships. So also think about what you could do before you engage with HP on what will be valuable for both parties to interact on. And last but not least, what we will do from a Vivit perspective, we will provide you some intro sessions very soon as we have more information available, also with our discussions with the HP marketing folks as well as the ExpertOne folks. We will be launching some small introduction sessions in which they will also try to discuss what, for example, ExpertOne is all about and why it might be very valuable for you to cooperate with them on, for example, discussing the latest training sessions or certification programs. But where it all comes down to is be prepared before HP will reach out to you. That's the first of all. But the second one, which is very, very important, is you as a leader are in charge. And we're also talking about the unbiased trusted channel we want to be. Keep in mind that you are in charge of what is happening at your events and that you also have a kind of a responsibility to what your members as well as Vivit worldwide to keep it a very valuable event as your members are used to have and to go to, so that it really keeps a very good medium for sharing knowledge and sharing experiences. So I would like to urge you again, go to the training session from January the 25th. It was hosted by Laura Walker, and especially also Rocky did a great job in describing the ins and outs of this partnership. So go there, go to this website and look at the webinar. And if you might have questions afterwards, go to the big three of Vivit. Susan, Rocky, or Stephanie will be more than welcome to help you supporting in all kinds of questions. Or if you, for example, feel a little bit uncomfortable in your conversation with HP, or you would like to share some ideas or some brainstorming up front, just let us know, and we will be there to support you as much as we can. So we've got the training sessions for you available. We've got an intro session on some of the HP organization topics which will be conducted, and we've got our staff lined up for you if you would like to elaborate with them on some future opportunities or not. Any questions yet about this topic? Because I think it's a one of the very important topics of this session. Don't believe so?
No questions. No, not yet, Martijn. Just a reminder, you can raise your hand, or you can type a question in the questions pane.
And keep in mind, I'm just a Dutch guy, so your questions might be quite direct and even a little bit rude. Let's say that's my Dutch background anyhow. So just if you have any questions, just let us know. The next topic I would like to touch is the leader training initiatives. The January 25th training from last week is part of a new initiative which we will be launching in 2013. This is all about monthly training sessions in which we would like to address different kind of topics with you, and it could be as we did the HP corporation, it could be about our Vivit website or how to grow your chapter. Just some very smart, short sessions in which we give you the opportunity to learn more about what it means and how to grow as a chapter leader, and as well try to share some experiences with each other. So please stay tuned. We will be defining the roadmap for these kind of training sessions somewhere this month, and yeah, keep tuned for the invitations for those sessions. And also keep in mind, it's also for us very important in this very busy time that we also have some very efficient sessions about mutual topics instead of doing only a one-on-one session. I hope you understand, but most of the time having these kind of group sessions also gives us the opportunity not only provide you with the right answers, but sometimes another good leader could also provide you with some interesting answers or ideas. So stay tuned for that. It might be some live sessions, but might also be some recorded sessions which we will be polishing up and provide it to you. But it's important to know that we will be working on building your career and supporting you as much as we can. The last topic on this thing on the leader training sessions is, if you know or if you are struggling with certain topics or themes, please let us know. We provided one of our questions after this session is about this topic. So if you have ideas about new topics or some challenges you would like to know, we can spend a couple of minutes or when it's needed more of this kind of leader training time to provide some new insights and to support you with really getting together those initiatives locally as well as virtually. Then some of the tips and tricks. What we noticed from putting together the sessions, personally, when I'm talking and organizing with the chapters, the special interest groups I'm hosting, but as well as known from other leaders, and what we know from just looking at our own website, is that there are some interesting tips and tricks we would like to share with you. First of all, use your group page. It's a very easy and low-level way of sharing what is going on. It could be brainstorming about new topics. It could be just relating your community to new presentations available. You could use them to just message your own members. You could use them, of course, for some social media purposes even. And it's a very interesting part of the website you could use and try to drive some a real attention, because most of the time what people would like to know is what is going on, and they really want to hear from you on what is going on, not only in your chapter but also in other chapters, especially about some very valuable information. As an example, what I one time did is I saw one of the presentations which was hosted somewhere else, and I just was able to share it with my own chapter and had a separate discussion in our own language afterwards, which was actually a real easy way of providing content as well as driving some real good conversation afterwards. So that also means, of course, that the second part is very important, which is share your presentations afterwards. It's also very interesting to know what other chapters are up to and what those what kind of conversations are going on there. So please upload your presentations also afterwards to your group page so that they become available on the website. Also start promoting your events. Not only by your group page, but you can also do kind of email blasts when necessary. And if you want to include or organize an email blast even to a larger part than only your community, also that's possible. Of course, then in that case, it's of course always wise to just verify it with the staff and organize it with the staff, because what we of course don't want is that we have a lot of email blasts on the same day about different topics and having overloaded everyone's mailbox with all kinds of Vivit stuff. So that will need some alignment, but also use the social media capability nowadays. You could use LinkedIn, Facebook also to promote your events. Most of the time you get also some good replies and some good reactions, and it even could attract some new members also for your chapter or some interesting speakers. What is also interesting to do is, and what gives you a very good opportunity and good input for your next event, is use the questionnaires. You can use questionnaires during a meeting, a kind of a poll. For example, if you already know what a market development is, you could try to poll it during a session and try to compare it to a market development question, which is quite neat, a kind of online research which you could immediately present. Or what you could also do is, just as we will also do with this session, take the opportunity to provide some questions after the meeting, and it could not only be about the value of the meeting, but also about next topics, or about certain speakers, or about collaboration with other chapters. The only advice I always give is just make it easy as possible and don't use more than 5 or 6 questions, I would say. And then, of course, during the meeting, you should actually already start thinking about a next event. It's always good to capture what kind of conversations are going on, virtually as well as locally, and try to capture them as soon as possible. Actually, when it's a hot discussion, you should really try to nail it down to a topic or a conversation which you can use for future events, instead of waiting for a couple of months or a couple of weeks in which the stakeholders are less related to the original discussion. So when you come across to some interesting discussions during your event, try to figure out already during the event how you could modify them for your future conversations. And of course, more kinds of these tips and tricks are available on our website in the special part of the chapter and leaders. Just on your profile, go to the group part, and then under my groups within your profile, on the top it will say chapter and 6 leaders, and if you press that area, you will go to the general chapter and leader area, in which you can also find a wealth of information available. So please also share your tips and tricks. This morning with our colleagues from the EMEAS and APJ, we got a very good question about, is it also possible to start a kind of a wiki page? Well, we will look into that. Any questions so far regarding the leader training initiatives as well as the tips and tricks? I don't think so.
No, not so far.
No, we just go on. Another important topic is BrightTalk. Perhaps some of you already know BrightTalk or did heard about it, but what we will do the coming 3 months, we will launch a pilot. And it's good for you to know why and what it actually means. First of all, BrightTalk is a very interesting communication channel, an online communication channel, in which there are 2 kinds of channels available. There is a kind of a private channel available for us being the Vivit community, but there are also other channels available in which we can interact with, or in which we can join the conversation, which is quite interesting. For example, there is also an HP channel available, but more important, there are also other channels available which cover topics like cloud computing, business intelligence, application development. So it's quite interesting also for Vivit's availability to be there available. So that's a good marketing opportunity for Vivit to join BrightTalk. But there are some more interesting points with BrightTalk, in that it's very easy to use and it's very easy to store information. And nowadays it takes a lot of time to save videos, to modify them and then upload them again. And also it is a more robust solution than GoToMeeting. Most of you probably didn't notice it, but sometimes in the background a lot of stuff is happening to keep the pace going of a meeting. So from that perspective, there are some real advantages for us. And last but not least, it's very easy as, for example, like YouTube, to embed your BrightTalk videos also in our corporate website or even in other websites. So that's very interesting for us. So that from that bottom line, we decided to start a pilot for a couple of months just to find out what the pros and cons are for using BrightTalk instead of GoToMeeting, and if we could really replace GoToMeeting or not, and if it's really that great as at this moment thought of. So just to let you know that some of the future presentations, like the business intelligence one later on in February, will be hosted by BrightTalk. And of course, we will not leave you alone with BrightTalk. In that case, our staff will host it, and we will make sure that it's not relating to any hiccups during the meeting itself. So hopefully we will around the summer know if it's a good and a nice solution also for you as a leader to work with. But we found it was very needed to first do a pilot before we launch it and put it as part of our infrastructure in place. So what I could do is share you a little bit how it looks like. Always good to see. Well, it looks like this. This is a kind of a BrightTalk website. Here you see the Vivit Worldwide channel, the HP Software EMEA channel, and this makes it also very interesting. For example, if you see the search field, to really search on some interesting recordings available for you as a leader, which you could, for example, reuse for other purposes. So there's a lot of potential there, and we will investigate for you if this is the right way to go in the future. Then I would like to touch base with you on a second update, which is the update about a Knock a Little Louder campaign. This campaign is all about getting the right data in place. For us and for our discussions with different partners, it's very it's crucial to have the right data in place about demographics, about growth, about conversations. Of course, it's not about sharing names or whatsoever, because they are safe with us and they are secured. We will not, as you can also know from the affiliation agreement, we will not share them. But it's all about also marketing the Vivit organization. And the second part of it is it's also good for you as a chapter leader or a special interest group leader to know exactly what people are up to. For example, are some people really also listed as a speaker already? Isn't it interesting to try to start a conversation with them for one of your future events? So that's a good way of, and that's why this campaign is also about this. It's not only about getting new people signed in, but it's also getting our data more valuable for your internal discussions and the overall Vivit marketing discussions. We even did have some nice prizes available. We'll do 3 prize drawings for it. A very cool headphone. So it is valuable also for you to update your profile. But if you could help us out to point it out to your members that it's important that those profiles are up to date and valuable, that will be very appreciated. So please help us out with getting and keeping this Knock a Little Louder campaign as successful as possible. Well, last 2 points are more related to the upcoming Las Vegas Discover, the HP Discover. What you could do now is already vote for the award nominations for the Americas. As you know, and probably saw from our communication, the EMEA leaders were already rewarded and presented an award. Ollie was Leader of the Year, Stefan Champion of the Year, and Mihai Speaker of the Year. And we will use the same kind of categories also this year for the Americas, meaning that especially the Leader of the Year award is a leader-only award for those who did an outstanding job regarding community building, special interest group, as well as chapters, about education, about getting the conversation and running the conversation in the different chapters. The champion is for leader, as well as could also be for our partners. That's more an overall reward for who in the Americas did do an outstanding job in, for example, getting to know the HP software ecosystem and really using it to its full potential in organizing new events. But it could also be aligning with new partners, aligning with new members, or with new HP organizations, which is pretty nice. So this is a more general reward based on the overall outstanding efforts. It could even also be showing leadership to other leaders in preparing events as well as putting together good partnerships. And last but not least, also for the Americas, again, we will be having the Speaker of the Year as an important award available for those speakers who really did resonate with the challenges of the different user communities. So if you know of speakers who did an outstanding job during on-site or virtual events in getting the conversation going, could also be a moderator, or getting the content going, could also be a specialist, please let us know and start voting, and the link is available also on this slide set. So please start voting. We'll close this around April 26th. And the award presentations again will be in Las Vegas. And remark, the date has been changed. So HP Discover Las Vegas will be from June 11th to 13th this year. Last but not least, also related to HP Discover, we will be putting together some new 4-hour deep dive courses. We actually added one based on a conversation yesterday, so it's pretty good overview, and also it's already a good division of what HP is delivering, parts of the different solutions and services they're offering. So there's a lot about mobile, test automation, operations, reporting on ALM. So please look at those different deep dive sessions as soon as the HP Discover registration is available. So as soon as the HP Discover registration is available, you could start also joining these courses, but of course it will also be good if you look at those courses from a leadership perspective, meaning which of these courses could be interesting to mention during your event or on your part of the website to help us drive attendances. And one remark about this, the registration fee is only $99, just to prevent that people just sign up and don't attend. And let's say you not only get real good content, but moreover you could always say you're supporting a good course, which is supporting Vivit worldwide. Another thing which you shouldn't forget during the registration is, of course, that you're a Vivit member, meaning that you will get $300 off the HP Discover admission price. So altogether, again, a pretty good package, and hopefully the HP Discover website will be launched pretty soon, and then you will also be able to relate your members to these 4-hour deep dive courses. Well, we're pretty much entering the end of the presentation. Any questions so far, or Laura, do you want to add something on the training part?
I think this pretty much covers it for what we have right now. Hopefully the cost will be very enticing for our members. We're expecting a really good turnout, so really be excited to be able to offer all relevant courses. If you have any questions about it, let me know. But in the next coming week is when we'll have more information. We should have all of our abstracts in so that you can share with your members the details of what the courses will include. But they are meant to be heavy technical deep dives, so there should be some great takeaway information. It should be well worth the time. We've always had really good reviews on our training courses. People feel it's really well worth it.
Sounds great. And probably it will be on Monday, or we're not sure yet?
We don't have an exact date, but it should be early next week, possibly even into this week.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you very much so far. Any other questions from the question pane?
No, but I have an
Don't see
answer to the wiki question, Martijn.
Aha, right. Answer us. That's quick.
On the Chapter 6 pages, the question is there wiki available for internal communications and knowledge sharing? And in asking Julianne, she said, our content manager, a wiki capability is available in the maintenance of both custom pages and file libraries on the Chapter and SIG pages only. So.
Okay. Well, we can dive into it, but probably it will be more difficult to use that for the Chapter and 6 part, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for already addressing this based on the question from this morning. Any other questions or remarks? Or perhaps any concerns approaching the HP Discover event in Las Vegas, or any ideas?
I don't see any hands raised, and there's no questions that are here.
Well, then let me close the meeting then, and really ask you for filling out the questionnaire afterwards. It's just a small one, and it really helps us defining future topics and also defining if this kind of sessions are really valuable for us. So I appreciate your work, your hard work, your effort, your energy, your commitment to the Vivit community. Thank you very much again, and that's one of the reasons why we're so fast growing nowadays. Please fill in this questionnaire, and hopefully we will see each other in Vegas. And before that, of course, I would like to invite you to watch your calendars for the new training sessions as well as the next quarter meeting. Thank you very much for joining.